Welcome to the Healing Soul podcast, empowering wellness and oneness. I'm Marybeth Rombach Nelson, a published author on Amazon Books, a gifted intuitive, and a Reiki master and spiritual teacher. I'm excited today to have my guest, David Zimmerman, with me, and we're going to talk about the 7 rays. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Good to see you, dear.
Good to see you too. Could you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into mystical topics and got interested in the esoteric?
Yeah, it started when I was about 3 years old. I could remember dying in World War II. And the way I would remember it, my mother used to make me take naps in the afternoon. And I would lie down on this kind of itchy burgundy old sofa that were popular back in the 40s and early 50s. And so I would never really fully get to sleep. I was always kind of in that netherland area between what they call a hypnagogia. I was in that state where you're between being awake and being asleep. And I used to have these dream images. I knew it was World War II. I know it was some great war. The people looked like World War II guys. I didn't really know what World War II was. I figured that out later, of course. But I was charging up a hill and I was shot and killed.
Wow.
And I always wondered later, when I was 9, 10 years old about that. But anyway, that triggered the whole thing, was the remembering of a previous life where I died.
Well, that's fascinating that it started at such a young age.
Yeah, well, some people, that's the way it is. It's not that way for everyone, but for some it is.
What triggered mine was when my father passed, and I was 14. And the week after, it had been a week since he passed, he came to me and tucked me in like he always did. And I couldn't believe that I physically saw him, and he looked young and healthy. And I had never seen, and vibrant, like he had black hair and he was always older looking, and it was amazing, but it did scare me at 14.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But that opened the door to seeing many spirits and having what I call knowingness, just that thought plunked into your subconscious that you don't know how you know something, but you do.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That can come in a lot of different ways and through different experiences. It's really part of a conscious mediumship.
Right.
Which is the highest form of knowing.
I agree. So today we're going to talk about the 7 rays. Can you start from a basic overview for the listeners?
Well, the premise of it is, in a very broad brush stroke of giving answers to such an abstruse subject. I have some things written down. I'll read them off my
Okay,
chart.
perfect. Thank you.
The role of septonates, which are 7s. It's interesting you said you were 14 when you had the experience, because that means you lived 2 7-year cycles.
Okay.
So 7 is a very important number, and it's a number that our universe is built upon. And it goes like this: the proposition that all things are the result of a single emission and are constantly affected by the radiations of the central source is not only maintained by all of the great religions as God, the divine, or the one, but is also reflected in scientific and psychological thinking. The Big Bang theory of the origin of the universe is merely a rephrasing of the more ancient proposition. Carl Jung believed every thought, word, or deed is affected by energies entering the psyche from the hidden radiatory center within, from the unconscious. The religions also describe the deity as a trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, or Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma, etc. The three aspects of the divine, Plato proposed, that the divine cannot be perceived directly, but manifest in man in the qualities of truth, beauty, and goodness. And so the one may also be known through the three. The next expression of the divine emission is sevenfold. The three become seven. It was in The Secret Doctrine by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, one of the founders of the Theosophical Society, that the idea was put forward that all things and beings in the world and all forms of mind and matter arose from combinations of seven fundamental energies.
So
There are the seven.
I'm
What?
sorry. Does this tie into the seven chakras and the seven planes of existence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the septinates.
Okay.
Our solar system is built on different configurations of seven.
And in a reading, I always say seven from heaven. Whenever seven comes up, it's a very spiritual number.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, these things and beings in the world and all forms of mind and matter arose from combinations of seven fundamental energies. They're the seven great beings, the lords of the seven rays, the archetypal intelligences that transform the divine qualities into seven, as much as a prism refracts white light into seven colors of the spectrum. The Bible refers to the seven spirits before the throne of God. The Judaic religion embraces the proposition with the seven Sephiroth of the Kabbalah, and the Buddhists have their seven divine races, etc. To the esotericists, they are the seven rays. The next level of divine expression is the zodiac of 12 signs. The seven become 12. The 12 signs absorb the divine attributes of the seven rays and express them within their own particular qualities. There's a tremendous relationship between what we call ray psychology and esoteric astrology. In the coming new age, guidance counselors, whether it's in grade schools, high schools, universities, in corporations, will be trained in the psychology of the seven rays. I'll show you a very important book on that later.
Okay, so to interrupt just for a moment, so do you believe the seven rays affect our personality when we're born?
Yeah, I'm going to explain all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There are the 12 planets which rule the signs of the zodiac, and finally the 12 houses of the horoscope represent the externa of man. The expression of the forces we have been considering here are at the most mundane level. As the earth spins and the planets interact with the signs in the great celestial dance through the houses of a horoscope, we are continually presented with permutations of divine qualities, the music of the spheres. And all the time, these forces are affecting our spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical forms. The manifest world is a precipitation of astrological energies expressing divine ideas. Now, I'm going to try to turn my phone around. Is there an option here that I can reverse the camera? I don't see it.
Can you I guess you'll just have to flip your phone around if you're on the
Yeah,
phone.
I'll just flip the phone around.
Okay.
Can you see this okay?
There we go. Now I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so what we're doing, let me get my pointer stick here.
Okay.
So it'll help me explain these things. We say that these rays, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, manifest themselves in qualities. And that the quality of the first ray is the ray of will and power. The second ray is the ray of love, wisdom. Is it showing up okay on the screen?
It's kind of small, so I mean, we can just go back to talking.
Okay. All right. But anyway, the third ray is the ray of active intelligence. The fourth ray is the ray of art and harmony through conflict, which they say is the most influential ray of humanity, is that humanity itself is on the ray of harmony, art and harmony through conflict. The fifth ray is concrete and scientific knowledge. The sixth ray is the ray of devotion and idealism. And the seventh ray, which is my personality ray, is the ray of ceremonial order and ritual.
Okay.
The colors fall under the rays, the zodiacal signs, the planets, even the foods that we eat. Protein is a first ray food. Second ray food is fat. A third ray food is carbohydrates. People with third ray physical bodies like carbohydrates. We don't know yet what fourth ray food is, but we know that vitamins are fifth ray. Water is a sixth ray necessity, and the mineral salts fall under the category of the seventh ray. Even the musical notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, fall under the influence of the rays. Do being first ray, so being second ray, fa third ray, mi fourth ray, fifth ray is ray, ti is the sixth ray, and la is the seventh ray. Politics also follow under the influence of the rays, with fascism being a first ray form of government. I can read on. It's a lot of information there, because what it does, Marybeth, the chart, which if people want these, I'll send them to them. They'll have to get a hold of me somehow with their.
Yeah, or if you could send me a copy and I could put the attachment up so they could have it. That would be great for them to be able to put it all together. So if, for instance, I'm an Aries, does that, just because that's my zodiac sign, does that put me at a certain ray?
Yeah, you would be first ray.
Okay.
Aries are very determined. We always say one of the archetypal examples is marching to the tune of left, right, left. In the Roman armies, they would always take anybody who was born under the sign of Aries, and they would put them at the front of the column, because they would charge ahead. The guys in Vietnam, there were guys we'd use as point men, because some guys were really good point men. I wasn't a good point man, although periodically I had to pull point, they call it, pulling point, where you lead the group, usually in dense jungle and difficult terrain. But there were guys that seemed to have a special knack, and I know, just if the esoteric teachings are true and correct, that these guys were born under the sign of Aries, because they were like bulldozers. They'd just go right through the thick brush and bamboo thickets, and plow ahead. And that's characteristic of an Aries sun and Aries ascendant also.
Right. So yeah, stubbornness must be a trait also. Yeah.
Yeah, and Taurus too is bullheaded.
So that's my rising sign is Taurus.
Is it really? Yeah.
Yeah. So
what's your sun sign?
I'm not sure.
Boy, it's the sign you're born under. What was your birth sign?
Aries.
Aries, that's right. Yeah. Aries.
Aries. So
but Taurus is your
Taurus
ascendant.
is the rising, isn't it?
Yeah, Taurus. Yeah, it's your rising sign. So they work in unison. That's a perfect example of a person who will storm ahead, bullheaded, determined to get things done, plow through the difficulties of life, and it's ruled. Aries is ruled by Mercury.
Yeah, because if someone tells me no, I can't do something, then
Mhm.
it makes me want to do it all the more, and I'm
Yeah,
determined to figure it out.
yeah, sure.
So it takes all different kinds of people, though, in a team and in corporations. You
Mhm.
get all these different personalities and energies that work well together.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, in the future, I wrote something about the importance of the rays and the horoscope. And a lady responded back, and it really is true what she said. She said, in the future, it won't be your resume that they'll be concerned about. They'll look at your horoscope.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And in the new age, that's exactly what it'll be. Guidance counselors and people in human resource departments will be trained in esoteric psychology, which is the psychology of the seven rays. And they'll also be trained in esoteric astrology, where they'll be able to look at the horoscope and tell you things like your soul's purpose.
That's
Uh,
fascinating.
Yeah, and that's what it's coming to. And that was the thing that was so great about the school in England that I went to, because they taught all of that. They're like 200 years ahead of their time in the Aquarian age. And
So can
they
you
taught,
still go take classes on esoteric topics
Mhm.
in England where you went?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
that's
have a
wonderful.
correspondence course.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it's still available through the Claregate, Claregate, Claregate College Metaphysical course.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get it. I hope I can do it before I die. Get it into academia, probably through a thing called Coursera, which is the largest online college
Right. I
course.
know, of
It,
Coursera, it's a good program.
yeah, it was founded less than a mile from my house by people who were professors, a lady professor at Oakland
Yeah,
University. And
I
I
did
live,
not know that, being a Michigander. And
yeah,
yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't know that.
at some point, I'm going to be able to meet with her and try to get it done.
Well, we'll put it out there that that will happen very soon.
Mhm, mhm.
And so
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. So
So,
I think
oh, I'm sorry. So going into like the aura, do you think the seven rays make up a person's aura?
they do. We do what's called ray analysis. And in ray analysis, what we're able to do is we're able to, in fact, I've got a graph here, I'll show you. We
Okay.
can identify the, the the types of physical bodies. Can you see that? Okay, is
I
that
can, yeah.
so? Here's a first ray physical body type, a third ray. This is a good example of a sixth ray physical body and a seventh ray physical body. A fifth ray is similar to the first ray. We
Okay.
say that rays 1, 3, 5, and 7, the odd numbers, are will rays, and the rays 2, 4, and 6 are love rays.
Okay.
I even have charts here that explain the uh, how the rays are manifesting themselves through humanity, and it's a brilliant, a brilliant thing. How the physical body, about 10% of the population of the world. Can you see this? Okay, this this
Yeah.
chart.
Uh-huh.
So the first number to the left is ray 1, and we say that about 10% have ray 1 physical bodies. They have ray 1, 10% have a ray 1 astral body or emotional nature. 10% have a first ray mind, uh, and about 7% have a first ray personality, and about 10% of humanity has a first ray soul. Uh, about if you go down to the third ray, Roman numeral 3 to the left there, about 50% of mankind has a third ray physical body. I have a third ray physical body.
Okay.
So you can kind of look through things. See, 48% have a fourth ray mental body where they create crisis. Everything's okay in their life, and then they create a crisis because that's one of the nature qualities of the fourth ray.
Yeah, some people thrive off of that.
They thrive off of it. Yeah,
Right.
I have a sister in a nursing home who's constantly in a difficult mental state where she's in turmoil mentally. But these charts are good. I'll try to get these sent to you so you can use them.
Yeah, thank you. And
I'll just take some pictures and send them to you on. Can I send them through Messenger or something?
Yeah, you could as an attachment.
I'll do that. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. And then in the year 2023, are we in the age of Aquarius?
That is a wonderful question. I'm really glad that you asked that.
Thank you.
Madame Blavatsky, one of the greatest mystics of the last 1,000 years,
Wow.
Helena Petrovna Blavatsky, a Russian mystic who lived from 1831 to 1891.
Oh, wow.
She said that the Aquarian age began in the year 1900.
Okay.
Yukteswar, who was a Hindu Indian mystic and the teacher of Paramahansa Yogananda, who many people are familiar with, he said it began in 1899. So they have a 1 year difference in their assessment of when it began.
Close.
But yeah, people have varying ideas about it. Some people said, "Oh, it began when the radio was invented," but or when Balerio or flew across the English Channel, or Lindbergh flew across the Atlantic. Those were, but they're all symbols of the Aquarian age because they were dramatic events that helped shape the coming new age. So it's not one thing specific, but it was interesting that Blavatsky said 1900 because a lot of the predictions that they follow are based on calendar years. And one of the interesting things that's going to happen soon is 2025. And every 25th year of a new century, the spiritual hierarchy of our planet meets.
Okay.
That is the Christ, that is the Maha Chohan, and that is the ascended master and various Nirmanakayas who themselves are Christ and Buddha-like beings. I've met one of them in my life, and it was an extraordinary event. Another was a mystic I met who was used as an experiment by the spiritual hierarchy, and they spoke through him. They were actually using his throat chakra.
Wow.
And you could tell in the a deflection.
So did he channel in a different voice?
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. He was channeling these masters, and he told me that he was just simply an experiment that they were using because this type of channeling will be fairly common in the new age. I have experienced it when I was with him. It's an extraordinary story, but it involves overshadowing of the individual, where you're being used as a messenger. And the words are so powerful that I remember in my experience when I finished my statement, when it began, I felt my brain actually move inside my head.
Wow.
It was like a hand was laid on the surface of the cerebral cortex and had massaged my brain. And I began to speak, and I gave this lecture, and then the hand withdrew, and I knew when it withdrew that I had to finish it in my own words, which I did. But what was interesting, there was a table of about 12 people there, and I got up from the table, and they were all sobbing except for the spiritual teacher. He wasn't, and they were just sobbing uncontrollably, just tears streaming down their faces. And whatever it was that I said, it was so powerful
So moving.
and so moving to them that they teared up.
Wow.
Extraordinary. But this teacher, which when we meet, and hopefully in May, I'll tell you about.
Okay.
He would do that to a room of 200 people, and the people would just be sobbing. It was just the most I said, why do people cry like that? And he said, because the words are supercharged with cosmic energy.
So it really touched their heart and soul.
Yeah. It was of such a high vibration, a high quality, that it stimulated. The only way they could react was emotionally and burst into tears.
Wow. I just finished reading God's Equation, and it talks about the magnetic forces being interrelated. You know, everything's a vibration and the unified field, and it's just fascinating topics and how it affects our personalities and the way we live our life.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's all coming to the forefront. You know, there'll be miraculous discoveries, miraculous inventions, and things like free energy will change the world for all time. One of the things that will happen with the advent of free energy is that we'll be able to irrigate the deserts of the world. And when we do, we will do it through desalination, through taking the salt out of ocean waters, and will irrigate the deserts of the world. And by doing that, we'll increase the oxygen nitrogen cycle of the planet and restore health to the planet. It's coming. It's part of the future prophecies.
We need that for sure right now more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to thank you for being on today, and we could talk for hours, and I'd definitely love to have you on as a guest again.
Yeah, I'll do it. Sure, I'd love to.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right, Marybeth, take care.
Thank you. And I always pick an oracle card, and today's intuitive heart oracle is becoming one with your soul. Bliss is waiting for you. Your soul is full of wisdom and unconditional love. Let all fear drop from yourself in all ways. Allow the divine spark in you to shine bright and feels God's love inside of you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you today for listening to The Healing Soul. I love you and God loves you, empowering wellness and oneness. Next time, I'll be talking about angels and how they affect our life. Thank you for listening today.